Hey guys, it's Ryan here with HobbiesofaMan once again, and today we're doing another comic book review. Today we're looking at Twig by Scotty Young, Kyle Strom, Jean-Francois Ballou, and Nate Pecos as the letterer. And usually, I'm a big fan of Scotty Young's work, and I did enjoy this, but I particularly like Scotty Young when he works with Jorge Corona, right? Stuff like Middle West, The Media Love in the Dark, and things like that. And in this case, he's working with Kyle Strom as the artist. And Jean-Francois is the colorist, and I think he works with Scotty Young a lot. His coloring really works with whatever Scotty Young really wants to do, right? So this is published by Image. I'm pretty sure Scotty Young only works with Image and Marvel, so that makes sense right there, as you guys can see, and back here as well. And the graphic for this is teen. This is a 16 plus kind of title, I guess. I'm not really sure. To be honest with you, and the genres, according to the back of the book, are action, adventure, and fantasy, and yeah, that's basically what it is. It's a pretty basic quest type journey, right, kind of story. It's 5 issues, so it's pretty short and pretty easy, and the binding and stuff for this is pretty good. So adaptations wise, it does not have one. This would be a pretty fun kids movie, like an animated movie. It doesn't have to be for kids though, but it kind of has that vibe where the character designs and the kind of styling of the story does lean itself into more adult kind of scary content every once in a while, but broadly speaking, it is pretty kid friendly. And the rating for this is a 4.5 out of 5 for me. I think it's nearly perfect. I just feel like it could have been a bit longer. Like there could have been a bit more work done to make the story feel a bit more exciting, I guess. Like I really enjoyed myself with this. It was a really relaxing read, but the fact is that this is a quest story, and I felt like there wasn't enough tension to really sell me on that, right? So that's kind of why it's not a perfect score there, but it's pretty nearly perfect. So premise-wise, we follow this little guy called Twig, who is this character right there that looks kind of like Stitch, and he's a funny little creature, and he's an adventurer of some sort. He's actually called a placeling, or a something like that, like I think it is a placeling, yeah. And he's a specific type of adventurer. He gets a stone given to him, and he has to go find where the stone goes. And so the thing is that when he does this, the stone that he's supposed to go place actually breaks. And so the story isn't really about him placing it. It's about the side quest to fix it before he places it where it's supposed to go. And broadly speaking, I thought it was a really cute story. I really enjoyed this. I would give this to my 10-year-old cousin to read. Like, hey man, you should read this. It'll be pretty fun, right? Assuming that he would like to read fantasy stories, because I think he's more of a sci-fi kid. But it is that kind of story, and it's pretty enjoyable and pretty fun. So plotline wise, we open up with Twig realizing he's late. He has woken up after he was supposed to, and so he starts rushing off. He grabs his buddy Splat, who is the little yellow creature right there, and they head off to the mines deep inside this old mountain that's alive, kind of almost like that one Pixar short that's kind of like Hawaiian inspired. I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, so they go into the mountain, they go down into the mines, and they go talk to a miner, and then the head miner, or the leader of the group, right? And it turns out that they've recently found a special stone, or a special gem, and they give it to him because this is his job. His job is to go grab these special stones that are excavated in this area and go place them somewhere for heroes to find so that they can go save the world. And so the placeling is the hero behind the hero in a certain way. The thing is that Twig didn't want to be a placeling. He wanted to be a cook or a chef. And when his father passed away unexpectedly, he was forced to take on the position because he is the person that knows the most about being a placeling in his social group or his society, right? Since he is the son of the previous placeling. And so it's a lot of struggles that Twig personally has about like the fact that there is a road for him to take, but it's not the one that he wanted. And yet he has to because it's his responsibility, right? And I find that to be pretty meaningful and important, but also kind of a bit too real for the feeling or the vibe of the story. And so he goes off to take the stone with him to this other area where there is this old man who's a quest giver. And this old man basically takes the stone, uses some concoctions in order to, get information out of the stone in order to tell the placeling where to go. The thing is that when Twig and Splat get there, the old man is dead and petrified and mummified and kind of like fossilized as well. And so they have to figure out what to do by themselves. And this is when they break the stone, because Splat kind of just messes around with the machine. And when Twig hooks up to it, he experiences too much. He rushes through too many of the things that the gem was going to show them, and so the gem runs out of energy, or nectar, which is what they call it in this universe. And so that is why the stone is broken. And so now they have to go fix the stone before they go place it at the place where it's supposed to go. And so they go find this guy called the Nectarmancer, who is this like robotic being that is like a magician or like a warlock or something. And the thing is that initially they think he's going to be scary and mean, and it turns out that he's not, that he just kind of thinks that they're stupid, because they kind of are. And he realizes, hey, I can't fix this, but there is a ritual or a quest that you can go on to find the necessary resources to bring nectar back into this gem. And so that's what their real quest is, right? And so every time they kind of go on a quest, and then the quest changes to further along the plot line, right? And so they set out on this adventure following this book that has 3 different things that they have to gather. And along the way, they find Lobby, who is a rhino, or a horned beast is what they call them. And they think that they had to kill him to get his heart. The thing is that Twig can't do it, and so Lobby joins their adventure. They eventually fight a hunter, or a skinner, I guess is what he would be. It's a type of poacher, something like that. And then they manage to beat him up, or they kind of find a way to get him to disappear by falling down a valley, basically. And they think that Lobby has been lost as well. The thing is that suddenly this old little guy in a floating boat shows up with Lobby in the back of it. And so the team gathers up again, and they go ride to the moon to find another resource. And so this is when Twig does the ritual necessary, gets all of the ingredients, which were all not really real ingredients, but rather metaphysical kind of concepts that the gem resonates with. And so the gem gets fixed. They save it, and now they have to go rush off to place it in the right spot so that this mushroom hero can grab it on time and save the world. And it was cute. It was really, really enjoyable. The only thing is that last bit of the story was a bit too fast for me. I feel like there could have been a bit more of an adventure there, where Twig kind of goes through more things to kind of, make the story larger, to give us more time to really gather with these characters, to really enjoy them and get to understand them. And it's not really necessary, but I would have liked it because I want more of this story. I think it was quite beautiful. Scotty Young has been doing a lot of these really interesting kind of like travelogue type stories. I think most of the stories he does that are not related to Marvel are these travelogue stories, because I think even Middle West is like that, although I've only read a little bit of it. But the Ain't No Grave story that I read last year is also very similar, and there's a lot of time spent on making that story seem very expansive and large, and kind of this like long traveling kind of thing. And Twig has a similar thing, right? Every time they end up in a different location, and we understand that the locations are quite different and quite far away from each other, but we don't really spend enough time really feeling that. And so I feel like it could have been, a 10-issue series, and maybe the pacing would have been too slow at that point, but there could have been more work done to make it larger. And that's really my only complaint here, but it's not a really meaningful complaint, which is why it doesn't really make the rating for this all that much lower than, half a point, right? So characters-wise, we have Twig, who is a placeling, who is the hero behind the hero, like I said. He is tasked with gathering a stone or a gem, a quest item, and then finding where it's supposed to go, or where it's supposed to be found, and then going to place it there, which I think is pretty funny. It's a really interesting concept to kind of give us, how is it that these items, these MacGuffins, are always in the right place at the right time? And it's because someone goes and puts them there, and I think that that's great. Then we have Splat, who is his little companion. He can speak, and this is pretty cool, but also I feel like Splat should have been more of a silent companion. At the same time, if Twig didn't have him speaking to him, Twig would have been the only one speaking throughout most of the book. And so I guess that's why they chose to give him the ability to speak. We have the Nectarmancer, who's not really a big character all that much, but he is the main quest giver after the fact that the actual quest giver was dead, right? The Hunter is not really a character. He's more of an antagonistic force. And he's not really that important. They managed to beat him quite easily, but he is introduced in like issue 2 and then shows up again in issue 4 to kind of make it harder for our characters, right? And then Lobby happens to be a third character that gets introduced that joins our journey. And so you can kind of think of Twig as like the main character, Splat being the Lancer, and Lobby being kind of like the brute or the tank, right? But they don't really have fights, to be honest with you. So that kind of like D&D reasoning for the characters existing doesn't really work that well. It's just kind of like an easy way to understand their positions, right? Twig is the brains, Splat's the sarcasm, and Lobby is the brawn, if that makes sense. And then world building wise, there really is no fucking clue. Like, I don't know where this world is, what the point of this place is. All I understand is there's a bunch of different worlds, which are different kind of regions, and our characters travel across them. And as they travel across them, they meet very different looking creatures and people, but everyone understands that they exist, right? And this is pretty cool and pretty interesting. It's very fantastical, but it's not ultimately all that important because it's all just set dressing. It doesn't matter that there is these things, right? The only things that matter are that gems exist, they're important, they run on nectar, and then we have a character that takes gems from one place to another, who is the Placeling. And he is the hero behind the hero, and the world is crazy. And their job is to make sure that the heroes have the tools necessary to save the world. And so technically the Placeling is the greatest hero because he's making sure that everyone always manages to save the world, but he also doesn't have the responsibility, so maybe he isn't the hero, if that makes sense. It's kind of that kind of concept. In terms of artwork, I mean, I think it's really cute. There's also these really interesting moments where it's really ugly looking, very horrible and very creepy in a way that isn't scary, which I think is really fun and a very interesting edge to walk, a very interesting line to walk. And I broadly speaking, love the colors here. They're so vibrant and funny and interesting, and it just looks really, really beautiful. So let's see if I can give you a good example. So this character is just nasty as hell, right? That's the Hunter. And here's Twig and Lobby and Splat there. And look at these colors. They're just so beautiful. They're just so bright and interesting, and I really, really love them. And then look at this. This is like the scary dreams that Twig has as he goes through his journey because he is haunted by his responsibility, right? So very cool stuff. I really, really enjoyed the artwork, the colors, and the storyline, and everything is great. So ratings-wise, 4.5 out of 5. Like I said, it's pretty simple. It's very cute, and it's really enjoyable, very relaxing and cozy. But I feel like it could have been just a tad longer, just a little bit longer, maybe not twice as long. Maybe that would have been too much, but 8 issues would have been perfect, in my opinion, just to give us more time to really understand the characters, to maybe learn a little bit more about the world, and to kind of make it so that it doesn't feel so quick. Like, it just feels like they're rushing. And yet, even though they're rushing, it also feels like not that much is happening. So it's kind of weird. But broadly speaking, I liked it a lot. I really, really loved it. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on Twig. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you've read this story. What do you think about it? Let me know down in the comments. And thank you guys very much for watching. See you guys later.